Welcome to another session from the Force 13 team, rolling coverage on the aftermath of Hurricane Hermine. And this is coming via the Caribbean Weather Desk, and over to our host, Adam, who hosts the Caribbean Weather Desk. Welcome back again, Adam.
Hi, yes, welcome, David, and welcome to all our viewers to this special update. We're actually not only just covering Hermine, especially the Caribbean Weather Desk and the Caribbean Weather Department. We're also changing our eyes not just on Hermine, but also on 92L, which is developing out there in the Atlantic, in the main development region. As it heads towards the Eastern Caribbean. Just for those of you who are tuning in for Tropical Storm Hermine, we had done an hour-long discussion on Hermine earlier. This second bit's mainly going to be discussing about the future prospects for 92L and what it could have for the Gulf of Mexico down the road. But we will be giving constant updates on what Hermine is doing throughout this part of the show. The new advisory hasn't come in just yet for Hermine, but as soon as it comes in, we will give you the latest on that. But as of the 8 p.m. advisory, located 33.5 north, 75.5 west, moving northeast at 20. Um, Wait, just making sure I said that correct. 33.5 north, 79.5 west. Moving northeast at 20, minimum pressure 995, maximum sustained winds 15 miles per hour. Um, at that time, it was approaching Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and a dangerous storm surge was expected across the Hampton Road area. Uh, Now the system looks like it's in pretty much on the coastline of North Carolina and coming further and further off the coast. Um it's definitely going to be a big worry for the Northeast areas, basically North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, Long Island, Southern Connecticut. So all the people in those areas keep a close eye. We could be talking about a possible Hurricane Sandy track for Hermine. So we'll give you updates and so on that as it comes along. But the main focus for right now is on 92L. And as you can see on your screen, this is the current rainbow shot of 92L. It is indeed a system that is really it's a really good, strong fighting system. When it came off of Africa a good few days ago, that's about a week ago or so now, it came up pretty far north and got itself in a bit of Saharan dust and dry air and kind of weakened and became a little less obvious where it was. And this thing kept on chugging along, moved west southwest, and then it started to pick up steam again. And it's definitely getting itself a lot better. Very little Saharan dust to deal with. It's growing its moisture field, so whatever dry air or dust that does end up happening will be pushed away from the system. Uh, So, I'll pass on the screen share to David, so David can show you how it looks on water vapor, and then we'll discuss about how the system looks in terms of wind shear and so on, and how the low level vorticity looks. And then we'll come back to me, and then we'll talk about the forecast for 92L, and then we'll check in and see if the new update for Hermine has come in. Discuss about that. We'll return back. So, David, take it
Okay,
away.
thanks, Adam, and welcome back to Storm Chaser 75. As Adam was saying, we will be covering 92 Earl, so stay tuned, and we'll get back to the comments or questions. As previously stated, Adam loves a question and answer session. At this point in time, we don't know how long this session will go, but as Adam indicated several days ago, we will be providing welding coverage. This is in addition to what Nathan and the rest of the team are doing. If we're not live streaming on this channel, you can always monitor the extra channel, and both Adam and I are really enjoying the live broadcast side of the operation. But again, as mentioned earlier today, my time, the response to our live sessions has been outstanding, and if it wasn't for the support, well, we might not be here, but the whole team is really enjoying providing a service. But unfortunately, the news isn't good flowing from the Hermine. Okay, I'm bringing up the share, and I think this is what we want. 92 vapor, Adam. You want that first?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
that
definitely.
should be on the screen now.
Right, so this is the water vapor loop of 92L, and the color coding is a little bit different than the main satellite for the Atlantic. They switch up the colors for the water vapor. And again, I do want to apologize for the ringing of the clock. Luckily, this is the last hour of the night that clock will be ringing.
Then it goes to bed.
But hey, it goes. It's a nice addition to the updates, I guess. If you kind of enjoy Big Ben ringing off in the background. But getting back to this, getting back to 92, um, it's building its nice moisture feel, and as you can see, the little bit of dry air that's on the northwest side is dissipating, weakening, going away. It has a very good big moisture feel, and that will help it keep the dry air out. The Saharan dust is kind of north and to the west of it, but a good distance away, and it will continue to be pushing away from it as it continues westwards towards the Caribbean. Okay, well, that's the dry air. Well, what about wind shear? So we'll go to the deep layer wind shear analysis, which is next one over there. And as you can see, over the system, there is a nice, decent upper level anticyclone, giving very low wind shear, 5 to 10, 15 knot wind shear over the system, and and there is a bit of shear to the northwest of it due to an upper level low. However, that upper level low will be pushing out north and west, likely not to be an issue, as well as that upper level low that's in the Western Caribbean would also push off towards the northwest. And as the 92L moves westwards towards the Caribbean, I would expect that the upper level anticyclone will continue along with it. And as you can see, for most of the Caribbean, it's pretty low wind shear, very little to speak of. And if we were to look at the shear tendencies over the system, it's been dropping. It's been dropping as the system moves west. A little bit of wind shear increasing 5-10 knots, but of course that's all pushing northwestwards, and the low shear over the system and to its west will prevail. Just to give people perspective where the system is, it is south of where David's mouse is. Right there in that little blue patch there, that dark blue patch that kind of heads up to green. So basically we're talking about a location basically 13 degrees north, 47 west. So I mean, in terms of wind shear, it's pretty good, and its low level structure continues to get better organized, as we could see on the 850 millibar vorticity chart. This is the latest one that has come out, and David, if you could pull down the map a little bit, draw it a little bit further south. Okay, so as we could see, it has a decent amount of vorticity. The vorticity is becoming much more rounder. It is also getting a lot stronger, and generally the forecast for this thing is calling for westwards, maybe west-northwestwards as it gets into the central Caribbean, ending up in the northwest Caribbean and probably into the Gulf of Mexico. What we have here, we have a high pressure ridge that extends out in the Atlantic from Africa straight across through the Bahamas, and it's pretty much going to stay that way for a good while, so there's not really much change expected. And you can really see the whole stirring flow of what's going on out there on the next chart, which is the layer mean wind analysis, or the stirring wind analysis. David, if you could just bring up the next tab there.
Okay, just before I go over to that
Yep.
one, Adam, is this another area that could
Yes,
generate something?
indeed, I will come back to that one
All right.
after I
Okay.
discuss about 92.
Right.
But yes, that is another area that we're watching closely. But yeah, let's finish off with 92L, then we'll come back to that one. David, if you could bring down the map a little bit. You could scroll down a bit.
Okay. Now we're
Okay.
looking at that area there, aren't we?
We're looking at
Or
the area
further
about.
down?
Hold on, your screen's a bit frozen. I'm seeing it a bit frozen here. Give me 2 secs. Okay. Further south than that. Further south.
Down here in the blue?
You could say where the yellow meets the green.
Right, the yellow meets the green.
Basically,
about
there
there.
a little bit to the west, and that's pretty much where the system is. But overall, you can see this big, giant, high-pressure ridge covering most of the Atlantic all the way through to the Gulf of Mexico, and it's pretty obvious to see where the stirring flow for the system is, westwards into the Caribbean, then west-northwest, and northwestwards through the northwest Caribbean. And obviously, this points the Gulf of Mexico to possibly be in play. It's a bit too early to say for sure just yet, but it's definitely something that we're keeping an eye on, especially if this does get into the Gulf of Mexico and especially ending up on the eastern half of the Gulf of Mexico. Florida's wrecked already with Hermine, and they really would. It'd be a highly inconvenient matter for 92 to end up where Hermine went. So we'll have to wait and watch and see. But main threat for now is the Eastern Caribbean. Well, the whole entire Caribbean, as I will. As I'll show in a second with the forecast models, but general path westwards. I'd expect it to really start slowing down in forward speed as it gets near Barbados, which is about located near 59 west, very close to the 60-degree line, just east of where the whole chain of islands start in the Eastern Caribbean. And I expect it to, slow down even more so once it's south of Hispaniola. And the interesting thing with this is that as it slows down and especially starts getting near Jamaica and the Northwest Caribbean, I've mentioned this on several videos from many times before. The oceanic heat content along the Western Caribbean, especially Northwestern Caribbean, is astronomically high, and also with very high sea surface temperatures there. You could probably see this thing explode up in the Northwest Caribbean and as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, we'll watch it closely for now. It's going to be a Caribbean threat between now and the end part of next week, going into the weekend. Maybe Gulf of Mexico threat getting into the week after. But then again, we got a whole entire weekend and 2 weekends to go through, so we got plenty of time to wait and watch to see what it does for the Gulf of Mexico. Main threat, Caribbean. Now, I'll take the screen share off of you, David, so I can. I'll show you guys the forecast models that are being produced for 92L. Hopefully, it will work for me here. David, if you could just confirm to me that.
Yes, it's up,
Okay,
Adam.
good. Good. Okay, so these are the most recent model runs for 92L, and it's not good. It's at least it's not going to be impacting the Northeast Caribbean and Puerto Rico. They've had enough with Hermine before Hermine became Hermine, when it was Invest 99L. They've had tropical storm force winds ending up around the islands here, heavy downpours, and it's likely that it'll end up hitting somewhere south of Guadeloupe and north of Barbados, somewhere along here. It'll end up coming across, and then it'll continue westwards, likely end up southeast of Jamaica. And then after that, the model's kind of spread, but generally, if we're on another model map, it extends out some of these more models and basically gets into my area here at my HQ. And as I said, the ocean heat content along this area is astronomically high, and sea surface temperatures are very high along this area here. So this thing getting into there with low wind shear, moist environment, it definitely does not look good. As you can see with some of the models, they do start to take it into the Gulf of Mexico, and here's Florida. We'll have to wait and watch, but if this thing does, really ramp up within this area here, I gotta tell you, it's definitely not gonna look good for the Gulf of Mexico. Uh, so yeah, these are the model tracks, and this here is the intensity guidance, and I'm gonna put a caution on this with this here. Um, you know, I think that it'll pretty much remain not a tropical storm till at least maybe 48 to 72 hours out, maybe a little bit longer than that. But you can see the general trend is, for a decent rate of intensification. Um, I'm not really buying the intensification 100% or even 50% just yet, or the models 100% just yet. I'll wait until we get a recon aircraft flying in there. And by the way, mentioning that, there is expected to be a recon flight flying into 92L tomorrow at about 18 Zulu. They'll be expected to be flying into this system. And once they do that, we'll be getting better data being put into the models, as well as giving us a clear idea on how the system looks and how well it's organizing and so on and so forth. So again, that will be tomorrow at 18 Zulu. Uh, that we'll get an aircraft recon flight flying into the system.
So, Adam, with 92L and noting the comments in the chat room, what are the chances of 92L? I know that we're several days away, and a threat is coming on the radar for the Cayman Island area. Uh, any thought on 92L? First question, or first part, what will the name of the system be?
Ian,
Okay,
and
so
just to also add with that, there always seems to be this kind of omen thing with I name storms. I don't really like to go so much into omen stuff with storms, but I don't know if you ever do look back in history, it's always the dreaded I name storm that tends to be the worst ones of the season. And just another little interesting thing to point out too is that with the track that's taking it towards Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and eventually to the Gulf of Mexico, also mentioning that it is September. The ironic thing about it is that when I think about it, ice storm, September, going to the Caribbean towards Jamaica, Cayman. First thing that comes to my mind is Hurricane Ivan of 2004. If you all could remember, was a Category 5 hurricane passing south of Jamaica and pretty much making landfall on top of me. Completely wrecking the Cayman Islands and then off towards Cuba. And then I think it made landfall near the Florida-Alabama border. Came around, and then weakened and then redeveloped and made landfall across Florida. And I think it was made landfall in Texas. The interesting thing is that the timing for this is very similar to Hurricane Ivan, somewhat similar location. Ivan was a bit further south, but same general track. So I'm just saying that I just find it ironic. I'm not saying that we will have a Hurricane Ivan again, although it could be possible, but I'm not saying that we'll have. It's too early to say for sure exactly what, but I just find it a little ironic with it being to be an I name storm. So, yeah. David?
Sorry, I had the microphone on mute. Just a slight bump and it switches the microphone off. Okay, just following on to what I asked Adam, looking at the current track. What are the chances of it going up through the Yucatan Channel, or do you think it's going to track to the west of that island? And ocean heat content, do you see much changing over the next couple of weeks? We know that 92L is tracking into warmer water. Looking at one of the visible floaters for the system, and with the sea surface temperature activated, it's going to track into 30 degrees Celsius. So, is there a chance it could track up through the Yucatan Channel?
Right through the Yucatan Channel here. It's certainly possible. As I said, it's very early on in the game to know for sure. I mean, it could end up, passing through Western Cuba. It could end up going through the Yucatan. North of Belize or the Yucatan. It could actually go right through Belize. Again, similar to Earl. It's a bit too early to say exactly for sure what it will do beyond here. Beyond this point here, it's unknown territory. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, it's pretty much a clear-cut picture for the Eastern Caribbean. It's pretty much a clear-cut picture up until the Central Caribbean, and then the picture kind of gets a bit foggy as it gets into the Western Caribbean. But it's still a general some. It's not so clear-cut, but it's clear. It's somewhat clear enough. And then beyond Cuba, Cayman, and Honduras, beyond that, it's unclear to say. I'd have to say we'll probably get a clear cut picture by the time the system is located here, just south of Dominican Republic. So we'll have to wait till then. But looking at that, it's probably going to be a whole another 72 to 96 hours by the time that happens.
Okay, just going to the comments in the chat room. Welcome, Martinez, and as the Storm Chaser is with us again, and welcome to the others. First question, whilst it is several days, Adam, question for Martinez, could you see 92 Earl or Ian doing a track like Hermine?
I think it's unlikely to follow track like Hermine. If we can remember, Hermine was not only for a little bit further north at this point, but the steering flow, the high pressure system that was out here was much weaker and was starting to pull a little bit more northeastwards. The scenario is quite different. You have the high pressure building in and pushing westwards, and not only that, but it's expected to be a very strong push towards the west, and a strong build. Where it diverges in terms of whether it pulls more north or continues more west is about right here along Florida. So this is where either it's Florida or whether it's Louisiana or Texas or Mexico. But for this, it's pretty much a clear cut that it's going to stay well south of where Hermine was. If you can remember, Hermine came through here and then passed up through here, crossed over, and through the Bahamas here, and then through here. This is going to stay well south of that, and likely south of Hispaniola, south of Jamaica, and then either through the Cayman area or south of the Cayman area. So, yeah.
A question from Storm Chaser. Reference to wind shear for 92L. You don't see it becoming a issue further down in a few days' time?
No, I don't see it being an issue. The upper level low that's located out here is going to pull out. The upper level low that's in the Northwest Caribbean is going to pull northwest, and it's going to be pretty much low shear. I mean, maybe at max 20 knots, but I think it's going to be relatively in the low range for majority of its lifespan. Looking at the ship's model, which they do track and intensity, but you get more details in terms of with the track model. With the ships does give a general idea on moisture content, wind shear, sea surface temperatures, and so on. And the ship's model doesn't expect much wind shear at all to be affecting the system. Um, the main thing that I would say the only factor that may be an issue is the dry air. Even though that the dry air is building out, if it spins up too quickly and the moisture content starts to shrink and condense into one tight system, then that dry air might end up collapsing again and end up dry air entrainment. But at the moment, definitely not seeing that. Ships is showing a little bit of dry air, but not enough to prevent intensification. That's the reason why, if you could look here, the green model here is the ship's model, as you can see titled here. And as you can see, it shows it intensifying up to Cat 2. And, with the conditions there, low shear, high sea surface temperatures, relatively moist conditions, I wouldn't be surprised to see this end up as a Cat 3 southeast of Jamaica. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It's just a really wait and see game. See exactly how it turns out. But so far, I don't see shear being an issue. I don't see sea surface temperatures being an issue. Systems are expected to slow down in forward speed, so forward speed's not going to end up being an issue. The only issue that may be a problem, but a minor one at that, would be the drier air. But that's minimal, to say the least.
Adam, I was just wondering if you could bring up another track to 92L.
Another track. Well, this is from the South Florida, Water Management District page, and I mean it basically shows generally the same thing, more or less, as this one. I'm still waiting for Tropical Atlantic to fix their data. Tropical Atlantic has been having some issues. If you can remember back, 92L, they officially tagged that a good week ago, and then they declassified the system as it started to weaken due to the dry air and Saharan dust, and then they redesignated it again as it started to get better organized. Tropical Atlantic has kind of a little bit of an issue with that, but once they do get that fixed, I will bring that. I would bring that up. Maybe, hopefully, if they get that fixed by tomorrow or so, we'll be able to bring that up and also be able to zoom into particular areas and zoom in on particular models itself. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Right, now, away from the tropical scene for a minute and acknowledging the comments, further comments about 92L. Adam, how did you, now, I've been thinking about this. How did you get involved in the weather scene? You'd like to give us a brief rundown, and that's something we can explore via a one-on-one interview. So, just for our viewers, how did you get involved in the weather scene?
Well, being down here, Cayman's considered one of the pretty much the hurricane and storm capital of the whole entire Atlantic basin, and because Cayman gets hit more often with storms than anywhere else. Being here, I've been through a couple of storms, and then I started getting interested in it. It's a unique thing. Tropical systems. It's not like your average rainfall that occurs up in the UK or anything like that, and it's not just a pop-up thunderstorm, and it's not a tornadic cell. It's not. Uh, it's its own unique thing, and I started to gain interest in it in about maybe 20 years ago, or a little less than 20 years ago. And then, after several big hurricanes came across, I really started to like it, and then I really got really into it, and then I started tracking, and I started doing stuff, and then it ended up uh, doing university stuff with it, and ended up uh, learning about tropical meteorology, and got into that, and spent some time working with the National Weather Service, and um, and of course became very close friends with those at the National Hurricane Center, as well as elsewhere, with Dr. Jeff Masters and Weather Underground, and other guys, those the Weather Channel and so on. And what really got me going to kind of go at it like almost full time was when Hurricane Ivan hit Cayman. I don't know. It just turned me a little bit. Some say maybe a little crazy. I think just more intrigued and fascinated by it. After Ivan, a lot of people hated hurricanes, and I just ended up starting to love hurricanes. It's its own unique little beast. It's beauty and the beast. That's what it is, and I like it. I like it. And you know what? I say this: if I could be in a massive Category 5 hurricane like Hurricane Ivan, I could withstand anything that this world could throw at me. I've seen some gnarly stuff in my life. You know, I've I've seen what you know people can do. I've seen crime. I've seen terrorism. I've seen war. You know, it's bad, but you know, with hurricanes, it's a whole nother ball game. It's nature. It's nature bringing the war zone to you, basically, and it's just that really just got me going.
Right now, just a brief insight into what's Adam has provided. He is a fascinating person, like other members of the Force 13 team. And for me personally, over here on the east coast of Australia, I became interested in the weather scene when Tropical Cyclone Yasi first formed as a low, and as we head into or as we approach the summer over here in Australia, I think we're in for an early start. However, back to the tropical scene, ocean heat content.
Yes.
You don't expect that to change much over the next
No,
coming
no.
weeks.
Nah, I don't think it'll change too much. I, you got to realize that the ocean heat content in the Caribbean is record breaking, and the reason for that is because we haven't had much big major hurricanes coming through the Western Caribbean in the last couple of years. And all of that water, all of that warm water's been sitting there and boiling and boiling and boiling and boiling, and there's no storms to go there to upwell the water and cool it down. So uh, I'd have to say, even if we were to get a couple of Cat 4, Cat 5s rolling through the Caribbean, it probably still wouldn't do much. It'd put a dent in it for a little while, and then it would come back. We would have to have a whole pile of hurricanes coming through the area to be able to cool this thing down. It's just, I mean, when I saw it earlier this year, I was astonished. I was gobsmacked. I couldn't believe how high the heat content was. I mean, it kind of made sense going to the beach and the water was ridiculously warm. And it makes sense. Yeah, you know, like for example, if 92 was to go through that, yeah, it would explode up. Yeah, just saying, if it was to end up Cat 4, Cat 5, it'd put a dent in it for a little while, and then it'll come back. If it was that 92L was to slow down, like really slow down and almost pretty much sit over the area, it would, yes, intensify into a very strong hurricane, probably the most powerful hurricane for the Atlantic, but it would also cool down the heat content across the area. If you were to remember Hurricane Wilma in 2005, it exploded to a big powerhouse in the Western Caribbean. But if you were to look at the ocean heat content behind the system after it moved out, it really did put a dent in the heat content in the area, and it stayed that way for a good long while. So, if for example the system like really slowed down and really ramped up, yeah, okay, but you're gonna need a lot of strong storms to be able to knock that out of the standings now. So, yeah.
Okay, 92L steering current. Any thoughts on that?
Well, you got this high pressure, you got this system moving west. I don't really expect much to change. I do expect that, based on the models and based on, looking at the whole synoptic pattern out of the United States, out of Canada, out of the Northern Atlantic, out of Europe, out of the East Pac, how things flow. Um, I would expect it to basically move westwards through the Caribbean until maybe Central Caribbean, then start west-northwest until it gets into the Northwest Caribbean, then northwest. I expect the steering flow to, throw it into the Gulf of Mexico, northern Gulf Coast somewhere. I don't know where exactly. It just depends on, how strong the high gets, how far it pushes, how strong the storm is. If we get any decent troughs that come down to pull the system north or northeastwards, exactly the timing of that. It's too early to say, as I said, for the Gulf of Mexico. But for now, with the steering flow, I don't expect much to change. I definitely don't think that this is going to end up like Hermine and go north of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, into the Bahamas. I don't think that that will be the case for this system. The farthest north that I could see this thing going is maybe south of Dominican Republic and maybe crossing Haiti. Very similar to the CMC and CEM2, these models here. That's pretty much the farthest north I think that this thing would go. Uh, so I definitely don't see it doing a Hermine. It could end up doing an Earl, where it stays farther south and ends up into Belize. However, I do think that the setup is more closer to Jamaica, closer to my area, and through the Yucatan rather than through Belize or through the Yucatan itself. It actually going into the Yucatan Channel. Yeah.
So basically, looking at the green track, what model's that one? The light green.
That is the BAMS S and the TAB S, which the BAMS S, I just want to mention to you the BAM suite, the BAMS, BAMM, and the BAMD is the beta and advection model. Basically, if you were to throw in the system based on how strong the system is, whether it's a shallow core system, a medium core system, or deep core system. Basically, shallow core, weak system, a low pressure, a depression, whatever. Moderate core system, a strong low, strong depression, tropical storm, and a deep system, tropical storm, hurricane, and basically if you were to throw that into the mix, what it shows, I'm with the beta and advection model. I'm a little bit kind of iffy about it. I'll use it. I use it for general tracking, but I won't use it. I won't use it to say that's exactly what's going to happen. This particular one. I use the whole entire suite as a general track rather than using it as individual models for an exact track for the system. So that goes for all the green ones on the map. The dark green is the deep layer, the medium green is the medium layer, and the light green is the shallow layer. So yeah, so that's the beta advection model, and the tabs is a new version of it. It's I think it's experimental this year, but I think it takes in some new type of data, something like that. Not exactly 100% sure with the tabs, uh, but yeah.
Okay. We're coming up to another hour. We've got what is it? About
I
10 minutes. 10 minutes,
uh,
9 minutes.
or
Anyway, 12 minutes.
I do want to, sorry about the statement, but I do want to turn back here to the update for Tropical Storm Hermine.
Yes,
Hermine's
that remains a
latest
priority.
update. The latest update as of 11 p.m. is located 34.1 north, 78.4 west, moving northeast at 22 miles per hour. Minimum pressure 997 millibars. Still, the winds remain the same, 50 miles per hour. Center of Hermine moving into North Carolina, as you can clearly see. Dangerous storm surge expected in the Hamptons Road area. In terms of changes to watches, warnings, whatever, tropical storm warning has been discontinued south of Estero Beach, South Carolina. The rest of the watches and warnings still remain in effect for the rest of the area. We'll be watching it very closely. It definitely would appear that it's pretty much, I mean, after all, it is pretty much off the coast now. Uh, Pretty much. Honestly, looking on satellite, it looks like it might actually be offshore now. I'll wait and confirm that with radar and surface observations. They might end up. I'll wait and see what they update. Another update that should be coming out in about an hour or two, maybe a little more than that. We'll say. But as I said, it's going to be an interesting storm. If it is indeed offshore, likely this thing is going to ramp up and re-intensify a lot quicker than originally estimated. And also with it being offshore, more impacts to occur along the outer banks as it turns northwards through the Virginia, Delaware, and through New Jersey. We'll be watching it closely. This thing is expected to regain intensity as it does get into this area here. Sea surface temperatures are high and are able to sustain development further, especially as it gets through the Gulf Stream going northwards into Long Island area. So, we'll watch it closely. Conditions will continue to deteriorate through the rest of North Carolina and getting into the Virginias and Delaware and so on. So we'll keep an eye on it and watch what it does. We'll get a full update in a few hours' time, giving us an update on the track, etc. So keep your eyes on for that, and for all of you, keep close ears and eyes on your local weather service, and listen out for any major updates that do come into your area.
Now, thanks for that, Alan. Let you have a breather, and I'll just have a look at the Twitter. This is Force 13 Live. My name is David Tones, and I'm joined with Adam down there on the Cayman Islands. He's the host of his Caribbean Weather Desk show. And I'm over here on the east coast of Australia at 13:45 local time here. And Adam, power outages is it's a major issue, and
Yes, indeed.
flooding. I'll just quickly
Especially
go on.
especially storm surge flooding. Storm surge flooding on the coastal regions are a big issue, and inland flooding due to rainfall is the other big issue. Also, gusty winds that will knock down trees and also knock out power, as well as debris flying around. It's definitely not a pretty sight for these areas. So for you guys in North Carolina and Virginia, hunker down now and stay in your houses. If you do have an issue with flooding, if the floods are getting into your premises, contact your emergency services for help if you need to be evacuated. If you can get to a second story, if you are living in a multi-story building or a two-story house or whatever, try to find yourself higher ground. If you are in a single story building and you are having flooding issues, if you have a solid countertop or table, stand and sit on that. Try and stay out of the water as much as you can, and keeping eyes and ears on TV, radio for updates from your local weather service.
Okay, I'm just looking at the tritters. Power could be an issue in Charleston, and it's been reported that Hampton Roads, life-threatening storm surge. Please read the NHC advisory. Yeah, so the NHC's, I think, got updated information on the storm surge. Still, I think it's still raining in Tallahassee. Traffic lights aren't working. What I would like to say is earlier today I was given permission by Kelly Williamson, a well-known US storm chaser. Force 13 will be tapping into his live channel feed. We have opening to our previous session some of the footage, and that's and a special thanks goes to Kelly, who remains out in the field. I think he might be bunking down in Jacksonville, but I think he is heading further north along the coast, so he could be back live streaming tomorrow or a Sunday, but he's definitely keeping a tabs on the system. Dissipation for Hermine, Adam. Another 5 days.
Dissipation, not likely. What could happen is that the system, after it finishes with the northeast, eventually, even if it does make that turn northwestwards in towards New Jersey, Long Island, eventually it'll head back out to sea, shoot northeastwards. It will eventually get itself absorbed into a frontal system and head its way towards Europe as a extratropical system. Whether or not it does it early or later is still unsure, but no matter, even if it does, the whatever winds and rain and storm surge will still be there no matter what. So even if it does become post-tropical, the NHC will still be doing advisories on the system as long as it's still a threat to land. But there's been discussion about it, and they're suggesting that it will remain tropical a lot longer than originally thought, and that it will probably intensify even more so, and thus dissipation, if any, will likely happen a lot further down the line from originally what was forecasted.
Okay, Adam, I'm going to ask you this question. Is there a new track by the NHC? Because I believe they have Herman at 2 p.m. Monday back to hurricane status.
I believe that is indeed correct. Let me just take a.
And while you're doing that, I believe the tropical storm area has expanded from, I think, I stand corrected, the border of GA up through the coastal region SC, NC, VA. Then I think, I'm not sure whether it's PA, I think there might be another one there. but it goes right up. So it is expanding, I think, up to
Uh, the the
NY.
the warning the warnings has not really changed too much, but definitely storm force winds will eventually get into it'll get out of South Carolina into North Carolina more so. Outer edges of Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey. You might get some in Pennsylvania. It just really just depends on exactly what this system will end up doing. Um, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island,
Possibility.
Massachusetts. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they do have it going back up to hurricane intensity by about Sunday time frame. They expect it to come back to hurricane. It might end up a lot sooner, just depending if it ends up indeed offshore quicker and it does intensify quicker, uh,
Okay.
which is something that's definitely been that they're definitely watching. Um, if this thing does so, then we could be talking about a much stronger hurricane force winds for areas such as Delaware, New Jersey, and Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island. I do also want to mention, with that being the case, the NHC has this new prototype storm surge warning graphic and warning text. And I do want to point out that there are indeed storm surge warnings and watches issued, and those particular areas, such as Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and going through the Virginia Bay area there, as well as definitely getting towards New Jersey, up to New York, Connecticut area there. They have the storm surge watches already up for parts of Long Island, eastern Long Island, uh, in between Long Island and Connecticut, right along there. Also between Philly and Atlantic City, within Toms River, Trenton, Edison, that whole entire area. And that is definitely a big risk area for storm surge. And, if we could all remember back with Hurricane Sandy and what that done with the storm impacting there. And that's definitely going to be a big concern as Hermine moves towards that area there. So it's a wait and see game, but definitely everyone in that area should start prepping for the worst, but hoping for the best. Um, it could get pretty nasty pretty quickly.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Tropical storm. Just a couple of comments from him. Biggest problem with the storm is that the models have been off by a significant amount over the last few days, and in continuing, expect the storm to be a good amount closer to the northeast coast than the current forecast.
Indeed, indeed, I definitely think that we could be indeed talking about a landfalling storm along the northeast. It is kind of worst case scenario, but based on how things are looking, we could be looking at that. I do want to also point out that yes, there has been some model error, but the models haven't been too far off. And I do notice that the models have been trending further and further west towards the coast. And I tell you, it's really biting onto the whole sandy track theory. I'm definitely biting onto it. I definitely think that may just happen uh, in this case. It'll be somewhat of a sandy track. After it makes landfall, I expect it to kind of stall out and weaken eventually, and then head back out to open water as it shoots off northeastwards. Whether or not by that point it becomes extratropical or not, we'll have to wait and see. But no matter if it does or not, the dangers, the effects will still be there, and it's definitely not gonna look pretty.
Okay, Alan, very much appreciated for your continuing commentary on a system that is definitely going to be around for what, at least 5 days. So, what we'll do, seeing there's not much activity in the chat room, and what we'll do is we'll bring this session to a close, but uh, before we go clear, just a reminder, stay tuned to this channel, the Force 13 Extra channel. We don't know what is planned for tomorrow, but the live coverage will continue, and you can always follow our Twitter feed either on the platform, or you can monitor our main page on the Force 13 website. There are ways that you can get in contact with us if you want to come in. If you've got a Skype account, you can access our fans room, which is a public room for anyone that wishes to engage with the Force 13 team members, and especially Nathan, who is a fantastic person, very knowledgeable along with others in the team, and his technical expertise, along with Jason, their they are assets. And Force 13, as I said, operates Twitter, and we also operate on the Facebook page. So, Alan, final and closing comments from you.
Well, just pointing out that looking on the radar, it definitely looks like that the center is offshore, just east of Wilmington. We'll be watching Hermine closely as it makes its way to the Outer Banks of North Carolina and continuing up the East Coast. Um, Specifically for the Caribbean Weather Desk, I know that the U.S. team will probably take on more coverage of Hermine, but I do know that the Caribbean Weather Desk will start to shift focus over the next few days towards 92L as it heads towards the Caribbean, as it is 92 being the main threat for the Caribbean, and Hermine no longer any threat to the Caribbean. But I will definitely keep the updates coming in about Hermine on the Caribbean Weather Desk. We'll definitely keep everyone up to date on that, as well as what's going on with 92L. So for everyone across the east coast of the United States, good luck, stay safe, and stay off the water, stay safe, and sorry about the disruption for your Labor Day weekend. And for anyone in the Caribbean, keep your eyes open for 92L. This thing could turn nasty pretty quickly in the Caribbean. So yeah, keep an eye on that very closely. Keep eyes and ears on Force 13 as well as your local National Weather Service. for up-to-date information. And we will definitely be back. Likely, we'll be back again tomorrow, discussing what has happened with Hermine as well as what's going on with 92L.
So our focus shifts from Hermine to the 92L system that is now on the radar, and in closing we leave you with a couple of minutes of the nighttime activity by Kelly Williamson, the US storm chaser. So Adam, cheers for now.
Yep.